So, in response to my panic attacks and roller coaster video that I released a few days ago, people have been asking me what can they do to fend off panic attacks, especially when they feel it's getting to the point of no return, when it's swooping up their back and over their head, and they want to stop it and make it go away rather than having to ride the whoosh of the roller coaster. I have a few things that I personally use. The most, the one that I use all the time for anything and has become a daily practice is the 7-11 breathing. And this is when your inhale is shorter than your exhale. And I know I've probably ranted on about this before, but one thing I will say about whatever you want to put in practice to improve your mental well-being, the chances are it will need practice. I'm going to go back to the broken leg analogy. You break a bone, you're in plaster for 6 weeks, off comes the plaster. Can you then go straight away and run a marathon? I'm kind of thinking the answer is no. And it's the same with whatever you want to put into practice to create good mental well-being. It takes practice. You can't just expect it to happen, okay? If you want to make real lifestyle changes. Now, please don't go, no, I can't do it. You don't understand. It's so hard. I can't do it. I do understand. I have been there. The amount of self-help books I have thrown across the room, the amount of therapists I have said rude words to, you wouldn't believe. And I did apologise afterwards, just to put that in there. So 7-11 breathing is the main technique that I use. And the good thing with this is if you use it enough, if you practice it daily, 5 minutes a day, it will soon become almost like an instinctive reaction. So you still may have the knee-jerk reaction if you have a terrible shock or a fright, but very quickly, almost instantly, your breathing technique will kick in, and this will help you to keep rational, keep calm and have a rational mind. So I use the 7-11 technique, and that means you breathe in for 7 and out for 11. I am well aware that when you're really panicking and when you're really anxious, that breathing in for 7, not going to happen. The old chest is probably going 100 miles an hour. You'll feel a bit out of breath maybe. So at the beginning, at the very beginning, only 2 to 4. So in for 2, out for 4. And then as you practice this daily, and a good technique to help you to do this, if you're struggling to do a long exhalation, buy yourself a bottle of bubbles. You know the bubbles we used to give kids? Got a little tube of soapy liquid and you unscrew the top and out comes a little wand with a hoop on the end. And you have to blow through that to make bubbles. And if you blow too hard, it pops. So the idea is that you keep the strength of your exhale is controlled. And that is what we're trying to do. We're trying to take back control of our breathing. And the reason being, because when you exhale for longer, after about 10 repetitions, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's inbuilt calming down system. So it does take practice, and the more you do it, the more you'll be able to lengthen the breath, and you will start to notice that it does have an effect. Another thing that is really useful for if you're feeling panicky, especially if you're driving, is to put on some music you can sing to. I wouldn't recommend thrash metal. I don't think that's particularly calming. But it's not just about the music being calming. When we sing, we have to control our breathing better. And so it helps to regulate our breathing. Another thing is if the feelings of physical panic are really intense, if you're driving, stop as soon as you can, as soon as it's safe to do so, and just get out and have a good shake, or even you can sit in the car. But if you get up and walk around, it's good. It gets the blood pumping. It stops, when you've been sat in a car for a long time, our shoulders can come up, we can become very rigid. Whereas if we get out the car and actually move, it just helps things to go back to normal. So you've got the breathing techniques, you've got singing, you've got moving, sipping cold water, making sure that the car isn't too hot. One of the things about panic is we sort of, I can't breathe, I'm very hot. Make sure that you're not wearing anything that's too restrictive. Certainly back in the day, I wouldn't have gone anywhere near a roll neck jumper or a polo neck jumper, and anything tight around the stomach. If you can undo it, just because the idea is we're going to try and let go of all that tension in our body. We're going to try and release it. I'm trying to think, where else have I been? What else have I done? Where else have I been? I've talked about breathing, singing, movement, drinking. The other thing, now this is going to sound a little bit weird. I was driving down south last year and my clutch got stuck. I did say that right, didn't I? It is one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me in a car. I'll tell you what happened is I depressed the clutch. I didn't make it feel sad, but I pushed it down. And then when I lifted my foot up because I changed gear, it stayed stuck to the floor. And then all of a sudden it pinged up, so the car lurched forward. It was terrifying. I managed to get off the road. I think I've actually written a blog about this on my website as well. But got off the road, and while this was all going on, when this first happened, my instinct was, holy moly, and lots of rude words. I'm gonna die. Ah! Right? That was my reaction. But because of my years of practice and because of my awareness around what was happening in my body, I got plenty of education around what was happening. I was able to say, I felt the panic come right up over my head, and we were ready for a full-blown whoosh of terror. But I was actually able to say, excuse me, no, not happening today. This did not mean that all my panic feelings went away, but what it did do was it told me that I was in control. I knew what was going on. I knew what my body wanted to do, my mind wanted to do, but I was overriding it. I was like, no, not happening. And so the actual physical sensations of having a full-blown panic attack did not happen. I was very anxious, but I did not go into a full-blown panic. And then once I was safely off the road, I was able to get out of the car, to move around, to have a drink, to do some breathing exercises. I didn't stand in the car park and sing, I have to admit. I wasn't quite at that point, and I think I may have got arrested or taken away. But, I was able to take back control. And I think with awareness, and what I want you guys to know is with awareness, you can take back control. You can say no, but it doesn't come from a place of fear. I wasn't going, oh no, I can't do it. No, please don't happen. I was like, you're not happening today, not on my watch. I don't need you. Thanks, but no thanks. And it worked. And it's happened a couple of times. I went on to have further issues around getting my car sorted out. And even though I was uptight, I wasn't having a panic attack. So I hope my mumblings and ramblings and bletherings have been of some hope. But if you've got any questions, please drop me a comment below